TFA Nation, Gabe,
Nick,
and we are here today to bring you another installment of our 3 Wickets. Oh,
our 3 wickets.
woo! It's been a minute. Nick, I'm so excited to talk about this. The Reckoning. Did we decide, are we going to call this tour The Reckoning or Payback 2020? You know what I mean?
We're going to call it the exhibition because it means almost nothing.
Is it revenge?
T20s.
Revenge of the Gabba? Revenge of the Gabba? Whatever.
They don't want to play tests.
Whatever it is, I told you, Australia does not forget. All right. And Australia, unlike other teams, England, just saying, they don't really struggle in the subcontinent because so many of their players already play in the IPL. So many of their players are used to these conditions.
How they do in Sri Lanka? How they do there? They lost 5 of 10 matches.
We don't talk about.
But they don't struggle. Gotcha.
We don't talk about Sri Lanka. It's like we don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno.
They don't count as one of the few teams that plays in this.
But with that being said, Nick, the point is, even though Patty Cummings, to your point today in the stream, was in IPL form, Patty Cummings, getting pumped, they don't flinch. Like, we've been here, we know what to do, all right? And I'm going to just start off by incredible start to the series. I don't think either side really disappointed. You know what I mean? Like, these guys banged out. They banged out to I could see if one side got blown out, but it came down to, 3-4 balls. Right, both of them took it all the way to the end. 200 score, what people said had to be there, and both teams, to be fair, came in shorthanded. Right, India and the bowling. I'll let you get to that. Right, no Chahal. A few other missing pieces there, but India really has so many bowlers. I mean, it's hard to even say who their top 4 guys are. Right, who their best 4 T20 bowlers are, and obviously Australia, of course, no Hulk. Right, no Eminem brothers because they're on the mend again. Dude, it's ridiculous. You know how in fantasy baseball and fantasy football, those guys got little like what is it, question mark? What is it? Like Band-Aid stickers over. That needs to be on their official players card, their cricket's cards. All right, Mitchell Marsh should have a Band-Aid on his or whatever because he's always hurt. He's always hurt. For the love of Pete, gosh, don't let me get started on that. But Nick, it was a victory for Australia. No whitewash, as I said. I want to get your thoughts, but right away, what we liked, what we didn't like, and what we learned. So I'll get your thoughts, and then we'll get to our 3 weeks.
Okay, so this match was very aggravating. I've learned a few things from this match, and I'll get to that when I get to the learn part, obviously. There was some I liked, and there was a whole lot I didn't like. First and foremost, the fact that Australia won, and I'm not getting to it yet. I'm just saying this is my overview right here. But one thing that's interesting that I'll start off with, okay, is first of all, what is the deal with this stadium? What is the deal with these grounds? I understand why people who are ridiculous, in my opinion, believe the earth is flat. Because they watch grounds like this ground right here. So flat, for crying out loud. I mean, was this place like an ice rink last week or something and let the ice melt? It's the flattest ground of all time. A team scores 208 and it's not even defended on the very last ball. It's the 5th to last ball that they chase, like, without breaking a sweat. They need 48 runs on 24 balls. They get 48 runs on 19 balls or whatever it was. What is the deal with this flat track, for crying out loud? You don't think Australia likes to play on a flat track? Have you not been paying attention? And plus, Gabe, like I've said many, many times, it's all about the batting. That's what it's all about, because the bowling's going to let you down. It's going to break your heart. Cameron Green was awarded player of the match, and I get it. He's opening for one of his first times, if not his first time. He scored 61 runs, half century off 30 balls. Did anyone forget that he gave up 15 runs per over as an economy rate? Does anyone care about the bowling? Obviously not, because he got a wicket, because he scored a half century. It's all about the runs, for crying out loud. I'm sorry. Was it not Wade that was finishing it for Australia? Was it not Wade that had a humongous strike rate bigger than Cameron Green's? I mean, what in the, is it because he's like look at the young kid. He was able to do something nice. He gave up 45 runs in 3 overs. No one cares about that because, like I've said many times, no one cares about the ball. That's just a sneak peek of what you're going to get today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Gabe, I want to know because I want to get out of the way because I'm going to lose my mind. What did you like about this nonsense here?
Oh, my. Nick, let me tell you what I liked. And it's the fact that Australia, first and foremost, had a balanced approach. Second of all, it's that Australia has finally decided to move on from those openers that were terrible before, and they're now going with Aaron Finch. Now, Aaron Finch, 22 off 13, not the best strike rate, but did his job, right? You get through.
What else is new?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You get through a couple overs there, whatever, three boundaries and a 6, so 4 boundaries total. But Cam Green, 61 off 30, 200 strike rate. I told you, I love this kid. This kid is the future all-rounder for Australia. The problem is, and we'll talk about that when we get to what we hate, Cam Green can't do 2 things at the same time. He cannot do 2 things at the same time. Honestly, if he's talking, he can't chew gum. All right? He's got 2 left feet. The guy can't do 2 things at one time because he's an all-rounder. But to your point, he got the 1 wicket. But God, it drives me crazy.
Is he an all-rounder?
Is he an all-rounder?
Is he a semi-rounder? I mean, what's going on here?
He either gets wickets or scores runs, but it's a curse. He's not allowed. Maybe it's in his contract. He can't do. You know what? I'll get to that when I talk about what I. What else did I like? My man Smudge showing some life. A $145 strike rate, 35 off 24, putting in work. Oh, Smudgy. And let's go ahead and talk about Matthew Wade, which you talked about, Nick, that you were concerned about. I've never been impressed with Matthew Wade as a wicketkeeper. Let's just be straight with that. And you've seen him play, and you know, I think Matthew Wade is pretty good. You know, Matthew Wade has a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and he's delivered. He delivered. And the import, the newly minted Australian, Tim David, putting in work, 18 on 14. I mean, it was a balanced approach. The Big Show didn't score at all, but he had that unbelievable catch. Defensively, you can affect the game, and he did what he had to do. He went and caught that ball. We were watching it live, and you said, if this game comes down to 5 runs, that's 5 runs, because that should be – he held it to a single, and that was on Axar Patel, because they should have at least got 2, but he was trying to work like he was going to go out, but not on the Big Show. He caught it, threw it back in, and held him to a single. What an unbelievable effort. As far as the bowling goes, Nathan Ellis, 4 overs, 30 runs, 3 wickets. Monster. That's a monster performance. Hazelwood, as usual, solid, 4 for 39, 2 wickets, putting in work. Like I said, Cam Green had the second highest runs, I should say, scored at 46, but it was only in 3 overs. So, yes, that's a hootie. 15 economy rate, it's a hoot.
Worst economy of the match, just saying. Player of the match. Player of the match.
Player of the match. But other than that, Nick, I love that Australia came back and chased this total of 208. I'm not going to lie. I was sitting there stressed out watching the last innings of India and saw 3 sixes get hit at the end by Hardik Pandya. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You just gave up the game. So, for me, that's what I liked on the Australia side. Nick, what did you like on the India side?
Oh, my gosh. So, it's basically the batting, okay? Umesh had a really tough over bowling-wise in his first one, but his second over was beautiful. 2 wickets, and then we didn't see him again. I don't understand that, but let me focus on the positive right here. Let me focus on the positive. You had 3 great batting performances. KR Raul coming off his century, I believe in his very last international match he played, gets a half century today. 55 runs, high strike rate for him. Okay, let's just say that. High strike rate for him. And he recently came out and said, I'm working on my strike rate, okay? It's like I'm not trying. And then you had Sky, 46 runs, 25 balls. We've come to expect it. Better strike rate right there. He actually had more 6s than 4s, which is quite interesting. And if you talk about the runs he got and then the 6s, right? He got 24 runs, was at 32. He still got 14 in singles and doubles, so it's not a bad ratio. Hardik Pandya, I mean, this guy he hasn't done it every single match, and that's like the only falter in his game right now. That's the kind of form he's in. He's able to go nuts in almost every single match. 71 runs off 30 balls, and a big chunk of that, probably closer to a 300 or 400 strike rate, was in the last few overs. He really went nuts. To your point, he had 3 sixes in a row in that last over. He was an absolute animal. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get it done on the bowling side. And it's to your point, but it's hard with that all-rounder to expect both things. But at least his economy rate was 11. They only gave him 2 overs. Again, not sure why Umesh wasn't used more. He gave a whole bunch of runs in his first over, got those 2 wickets there. But I love when you have Umesh who's getting wickets. In my opinion, you got to keep sending him out there because he like smells blood. He smells the blood in the water. He sees it there. And of course, Axar Patel. Axar Patel, I have not seen in a good form bowling wise in a long time. He had that low economy rate. He had the 3 wickets. This was the best I've seen him in well over a year from the matches I've seen. And that was really, really promising to see because he really hasn't been a big factor or a component that I can think of in their last several wins they've had internationally. So the fact that he was able to show up and they lost really, really is unfortunate because you waste a great performance by him. I also liked, when it was the first innings, the fact that players on India were able to pick each other up. They were able to figure it out. Even Harsh Patel comes in when DK loses his wicket, and he's able to be a good enough partner so that Hardik Pandya can go off. He didn't throw away his wicket. So that was really, really nice to see. Gabe, what'd you hate? Because I know you love the hate.
You know what, Nick? I got to say it, and it pains me to say it. I hated the bowling. I don't want to hear that this is a flat ground. I don't want to hear, guess what? It wasn't a flat ground for Hazelwood, right? Who's kept his economy rate under 10 and got himself 2 wickets. All right. It wasn't a flat ground for Adam Zampa. And I know Hazelwood and Zampa, well, Zampa's a spinner.
Those aren't great economy rates. So even for them, those are your better guys.
You know what I mean?
Not great economy rates. It won't be under 8.
Exactly. But Cummings, you got to be better. Patty Cummings is the captain of the team, and you got to be better. 4 for 47, 3 runs short of getting hootied. Okay, you gotta in T20. If your economy rate's not 10 or under, you didn't do your job. Especially if you're not taking wickets. Especially if you're not taking wickets. So I'm disappointed. And you know I love me some Patty Cummings, right? The best a man could be, not today. He was not the best he could be out there today. And I'm telling you, Cam Green is such a talent, Nick. And even in tests, right? People said, oh, but they were waiting for Cam Green forever. He scored 250s, and then, he has to focus on the bowling. He'll come out and have a 5-wicket haul, but then can't get any runs. It's like the guy can't put it together. As an all-rounder, you got to put it together. And yeah, he got himself 1 wicket, but his economy rate was 15. He got 46 runs in 3 overs. Hootie! No. I mean, gosh, you gotta fix it. I don't know how they fix Cam Green. Maybe it's just to tell him you're not an all-rounder. Let's just stick to batting because at least he's opening, and Australia needs an opener desperately. But that bowling is so valuable. You know what I mean? And Glenn Maxwell, obviously a spinner as a bowler, gives you a different dimension as far as bowling is concerned. But you can see they only bowled him 1 over. So he's got to fix it. He's got to fix it. To me, that's what was disappointed. That's the only thing I didn't like. Other than that, good job, Australia. Way to come back and remind India, yeah, okay, you guys beat us at home, but remember who the T20 champs are, all right? The champ is here. The champ is here. Walk around with that belt. Nick, what did you dislike?
One correction. Patty Cummings is not the captain. It's Aaron Finch. But I can understand why you would think that because Aaron Finch, in my opinion, yeah. And you're going to say, they won a T20 under his captaincy. What are you talking about, a World Cup? Of course he's a great captain. And where's the game? Stop it. You guys know that's not true. All right? And that's one thing I hate is Australia, not only do they have enough pieces when guys aren't there, David Warner and whatnot, but they have just that clutch gene. They really, really do. They have that ability to win more times than not in matches that are probably supposed to lose. Now, this track ended up being, like I said, the flattest track of all time. So 211, no sweat for these guys whatsoever. And like India, when a guy faltered, another guy picked him up. They just did it better, for crying out loud. What did I absolutely hate about India? The fact, there's just so many things. Okay. The fact that this team is now finding new ways to cough it up. Okay. Bhuvi, who, if you were to rank players in the last 2 months before this match, you'd probably have him in the top 5, honestly, in T20. You really would. The way he's been performing has been absolutely masterful. And then he comes out today and he just completely chokes it all up. 52 runs in 4 overs. I was making fun of Cummins. He at least didn't give up 50 runs, for crying out loud. 52 runs, and not just that, but the worst overs in the death, for crying out loud. Now, he had 1 good over, so I don't want to take too much away from him, but 16 runs in the 19th, 15 runs in the 17th, for crying out loud. You just can't do that, and 0 wickets once again. India is at their best when Bhuvi or Boomer, I thought Boomer was going to bowl in this one. Obviously not, right? I thought Boomer was going to be there ready to go. I haven't got the information on what happened there. Harshal Patel, there was no magic whatsoever today. His better thing he did was batting today, surprisingly. 49 runs, 1 away from 50, 0 wickets. And if he's not taking wickets, it's going to be a long day. But look at this. They have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys with the economy rate averaging over 12. You can't have that. You can't have 4 of them out of your normally 5, if they all go 4 overs, bowling, and they're all going to give up 12 runs or not more. You can't do that. Australia only had 1 of those guys, and that was Cameron Green. And they were smart to say, you sit down right now. You don't get any more of that ball. And it's probably what helped save the match, that and Maxwell's amazing save. But the bowling was just lackluster, for crying out loud. No one was able to do anything. Umesh, Shahal, who I didn't mention yet. Shahal got that big wicket in the 20th over. Right. But that just means Pat Cummins can come in and win the game for his team when he wasn't able to do too much bowling wise. I hate the fact that they're finding new ways to lose every single time. This gives me even less confidence they'll be able to make any noise in the World Cup, because they just can't do it. And you're talking about redemption and payback. The last time these teams met each other was in the World Cup, for crying out loud, right? And I don't think they actually met each other, but they were in the same tournament, for crying out loud. And Australia was to be on top. India didn't even come close to the podium, right? They even come close whatsoever. India is not, they don't have the clutch in ability in their genes. To the documentary's point, it's only when their backs are pushed against the wall. But in a short tournament, like a T20 tournament, you don't have time to get your backs pushed against the wall and then fight back. And in this case, I think the worst thing that happened to India was that they batted first. I really, really do. They batted first, and they didn't have those backs pushed up against the wall. They weren't able to get that whatever. And last thing I want to say that I hate the fact that you're still relying so much on King Kohli to move your team. He's an emotional spark plug. He's an offensive spark plug. He was able to do nothing today, and the team just fell that kind of short, right? Hardik Pandya, fantastic. Sky, fantastic. KL Rahul, good enough. But if Kohli can do better than 2 runs and you ate up 7 balls, right? And this is not a Kohli rant. Where the heck was Rohit Sharma? He hit 9 balls and had 11 runs. Right. You can't have Rohit Sharma be a captain, but we're still relying on Kohli for everything. The rest of the team needs to prove that they can play without Kohli, because right now they can't. They need him to provide that kind of spark plug, and he wasn't able to do it today, and they weren't able to get enough. I know a lot of people are going to be scratching their head. Why'd you bring Kohli into this? Trust me, emotional and leadership and all that kind of stuff, it wasn't able to happen. And Rohit, I haven't crushed him enough. He has not been good enough as a captain for the limited format overs and all that, limited overs format and all that kind of stuff. I'm just sick and tired of this. And let me go right into what I learned. This is what I've learned about cricket in general, not just India.
Okay.
For some reason, momentum does not carry over from series to series. I don't know why. They get on that plane, they go to a new destination, or they play against a different kit, and they just have no momentum whatsoever. Bhuvi had all the momentum in the world in the last series, did nothing today. KL Rahul had a century. He got a 55, but he had a century in his last match in the T20 match. Kohli had a century in the last series, for crying out loud. He gets 2 runs right here. I think Rohit had a half century in the last match or whatever, gets 11 runs here. can't carry over any momentum whatsoever. And I've seen that time and time again. Doesn't carry over from the domestic leagues to the international to domestic. Oh, this guy's looking really good. He's in good form. He's trash in the next one. I don't understand why that is, but it makes it impossible to try to predict and try to figure out who's going to do what, because the momentum means absolutely nothing, for crying out loud.
I hear you. I want to touch to something you talked about, though. You said the worst thing that could have possibly, and this is what I learned. Okay, I'm not gonna say Cam Green can't chew and walk on his gum, chew gum and walk at the same time. We knew that. I didn't learn that. I told you guys that during the stream. I knew it was gonna happen. But what I learned is close to what you already mentioned. Worst thing that could happen in India was that they had a bat first, right? Nick, do you realize both chasing teams today won? Both teams that won the toss decided to field. All right. Australia won the toss, decided to field. Hear me out for a second. England, surprise. I couldn't believe this because England was.
Were you talking trash about England earlier? Is that what you were doing?
Hammered. They won the
Alex Hales, baby.
Decided to field. And this goes back to the conversation. And watch, I'm gonna get a whole bunch of Sri Lanka hate right now, where people are like, "Oh yeah, Sri Lanka had the luck of the Irish on their side because they got to chase the majority of the time." Like, let's just be candid. Chasing is a thing, all right? I don't know if it's the do. I don't know if it's just knowing the score you've got to get to. Whatever it is, in cricket, chasing is a thing, all right? Somebody give me the stats. I remember this happened a few years ago in the IPL when it was in the UAE. Then it happened in... Chasing is absolutely a thing. You cannot tell me that it is not. And if that's the case, there's just got to be a better way to figure it out than a coin flip. Don't you think, Nick? That's what decides who gets that advantage. It can't be. It just cannot be that, what do you call it? That random. It can't be that arbitrary of a thing that the majority of the times, especially in the subcontinent, chasing teams win. It can't be. It cannot be. Again, let us know. Somebody do the research. But I know that was a lot of the talk. Oh, Sri Lanka got lucky in the Asia Cup. They got they won a lot of tosses and were able to chase. Okay, so is that like that big of an advantage? And if it is, should it be left up to a coin toss? I mean, honestly, both matches today.
Because the coin toss, you have no advantage in that. Is it important to win the coin toss? Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
strategically. We learned that in the very first test match we ever watched, the Ben Stokes debacle, right? But that wasn't a drive-by. That was just a reference.
Drive-by. Let us know the drive-by. Nick is salty. Ben Stokes.
It was not a drive-by. Ben Stokes is killing it right now for England's test squad. But listen, it's all about luck of the flip. Now, if it is a big deal. So if my man Virat Kohli can't flip it, don't even think about honorary captain. I'm honestly spending Saturday before the match. All you guys are flipping 50 times. You guys keep track of it. Who has the best percentage? They're flipping for us. I'm not joking around. I'm being dead serious.
Dude, honestly, it's not a skill. I mean, what do they got? Dudes in the back of the room,
Some guys have the luck.
Just flipping coins. Are you serious?
That's how we're spending practice.
Right now, that's what these games come down to. Because again, to your point, it came down to the last over. It's not like either team got blown out. Same thing happened in the Pakistan versus England. So it's not like either team got blown out and just got absolutely demolished. No, it's just it got away from them in that last over. They couldn't defend that score. And if that's the case, and going back to the Asia Cup, a lot of people that threw salt on Sri Lanka, not me. I heart Sri Lanka. Don't come after me. But it was there. It was in the paper. It was on Creek Buzz. It was in the articles. People talked about how they were fortunate to win the toss and fortunate to be able to chase a few of the matches that they did chase and win that toss. If that's a thing, Nick, I mean, come on. Cricket's got to come up with a better way of just saying, you know what? Good luck on the coin toss. Are you serious? What is it? Two-headed coin? You man, Kohli cannot win a toss. Remember when we were keeping track of how many tosses Kohli lost? Kohli
75 in a row. It was ridiculous.
He said 75 in a row. It wasn't that many, but it was like 20 out of 22. I think he might have won two tosses out of like 20 or 25. We were like, this is uncanny. How can you possibly? A coin flip should be 50-50. By definition, it's 50-50. Kohli is not 50-50. Let us know in the chat. What's Kohli's record with the last? Oh, man, I remember somebody was keeping a check. The guy cannot win a coin toss. It's ridiculous. It should be 50-50. It's not. Apparently, it's some kind of skill we don't understand.
I don't know. That's an interesting thing that you learned, but you are all about controversy. If anyone is wondering why are we not doing R3 wickets for England, Pakistan, we love both those teams. Excellent cricketers. We didn't watch any of the match. We were streaming this morning and watched some of the match of this one, which is why we're talking about it. But I'm surprised England won the other match, right? Because Pakistan started off strong in the first 3 overs, and then they just this or that. Pakistan had a great death bowling. They really, really did, besides the very first over. Great death bowling, but England was already too far ahead of the run rate, and they were able to chase there. But this match, listen, Australia, they have the ability, obviously, to play cricket, but to pull out the wins. I mean, again, that save by Glenn Maxwell, that ball is at least 2 yards past the boundary once it hits the ground. I don't see too many guys making that kind of effort. I'm not even sure where he came from. It was absolutely phenomenal, and it worked. 1 run. I mean, those are the kind of moments that you need. Don't send Cameron Green out for that 4th over. He's tired, or what? We're going to need him for batting in a few minutes. Like, whatever those decisions are, and maybe that's where it's Aaron Finch. He gets some credit there by not sending him out there. I have no idea. But Australia is impressive, right? And India, they continue to shoot themselves in the foot, in my opinion. 208, if you can't defend that, then just get out. Just go. Like, honestly, get out of here. Bumrah, where is he at? I mean, honestly, if he gets hurt this much, don't let him bowl again until the World Cup. It's as simple as that. You only bowl in the tournaments. That's all you get. You don't get any other matches. And it's crazy. Where's Shami at? I saw his name of the players that were coming. Didn't see him either. So, I mean, it's frustrating, but Australia definitely deserved to win it, and they won it. Congratulations to them. Let us know what your thoughts are. Don't forget to comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let us know what you think, and let us know what you think about these grounds, for crying out loud. They get those pavers out there in the last second. Did Australia pay someone? Did SPD go out 5 in the morning and do some manicuring himself of those grounds? I mean, come on.
Nick, let me ask you a question.
Check the videotape.
Let me ask you a question. Pant versus DK. Do you think that this settled anything today? Because, again, DK, the great finisher, 6 runs off of 5 balls. All right, did not do anything to help his case. And do you go back to Pant in the very next match? Do you want to see Pant, or do you give DK the series because you're working towards the World Cup to see, okay, who's going to be our wicketkeeper? Who's going to be our guy? I think the bowling, again, Booby wasn't available. It is what it is, right? He will be, not Booby, I'm sorry. Boomer wasn't available. It is what it is. He'll be there. The rest of that lineup is sorted out. People that were calling for Saraya Sire over who? My guy? Sky? Stop it! Stop it! You better.
Trace Iyer is a good player. You got to calm down.
He's no Sky. So I think that's the only question for India, right? It's going to be, who is it? Is it Pant? Does Pant maybe take those 5 balls that only gave 6 runs, and we've seen him do it? I mean, we saw Hardik Pandya make 18 runs on, get 18 runs on 3 balls, and maybe give India those extra 10, 12 runs they needed. Like, again, 6 on 5, you're a finisher, and that's what you give me. They're in the death when we need a DK. Not good enough.
For me. I have tried to ride the DK train as long as possible. I have nothing against him. I'm not mad at him. But I got to go with Pont every single time. I just got to. He's not a liability as wicketkeeper. And, I mean, is he going to score more than 6 runs on a bad day? Absolutely. DK, if your main thing is you are there because you are a finisher, and you haven't finished like 4 of the last 6 matches or whatever it is, I mean, what's going on, right? We need to have something. Pont's not my favorite T20 player as far as wicketkeeper. Maybe Sanju Samson. Maybe you throw him in there and see what he can do, right? Because he might be a little more reliable as far as longer lasting than Pont and his free swinging ways. Pont in test all day long. But in T20, I might have to go to a Sanju Samson. I'm just saying, because we've got to figure out something, because you're right. That's a spot that we can't keep having these zeros or these. I mean, imagine if you had DK and you had Hardik on strike the last few overs in this flat track. Probably could have done more than Harsh Patel's 7. Just saying. Now, Harsh Patel only saw 4 balls, so he should have had 12 on 4 balls. We'd be talking about awesome, right? Hardik Pandya did his thing. So it's really, in this match, it's really kind of a moot point. But I still got to go with Pont to answer your question. But it is a glaring hole, unfortunately.
I mean, think about the difference in the match. Think about the difference in the match. Matthew Wade, 44 runs. DK, 6 off 5.
Right, but when Harshal Patel came in, he only saw 4 balls. So most of the balls went to Hardik Pandya. Did he not make the most of what he did? Right, he got 71 off 30. Definitely. So in this match, it doesn't really matter. I guess what you could argue is, would Pont with those 5 balls get more than 6 runs? I think Australia would have chased it even if they had 10 more runs, to tell you the truth. I think they could have got to 220.
But I don't think it should be a conversation. I think Pant should be the wicketkeeper. And I think that
you got to figure it out.
We saw today, and you and I called it. People in the chat were going nuts. They were like, why are they bringing in Axar Patel ahead of DK? Because they don't trust that DK can protect his wicket and be out there long enough. They don't want to give DK more than 4 or 5 overs because they just expect him to finish. And if you got a guy that's a liability like that you can't trust, we've seen, even in T20, we've seen Pant last, Nick, 5, 6, 7, 10 overs. You know what I mean? Is he undisciplined? Yes. But is there any fear throwing Pant out there? No. They'll throw him in. If it was in the 13th over, 14th over, they would have thrown him in the minute that it came up and wouldn't have put Axar Patel in there. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying, dude? So that's where you got to kind of like to say, if DK limits your ability to put him in because you can only trust him for 3, 4 overs, then at that point you got to say to yourself, then we got to go with Pant. That's my opinion. But I wanted to ask you, because you're the India fan, what do you think? But those are my thoughts. Again, I thought it was a great match. I think it's a great warm-up. These teams are not complete, not the teams we're going to see at the World Cup. Obviously, Australia without Mitchell Marsh. I mean, gosh, Mitchell Marsh may not even make the World Cup. Who knows? I mean, the guy's always hurt. Supposedly, he's going to be around for New Zealand. But, I still think you're talking about one of the, 2 of the best teams in the world as far as T20 is concerned. India, Australia, of course, reigning champs. And I'm so excited for this World Cup, Nick. I am so excited. Can't wait.
Absolutely. Let us know what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for watching this and joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And with all that being said, until next time,
that's 6 runs.